It's Monday night and another edition of Monday Night Sports Talk here on the airnetwork.net. Welcome in, everyone. Joining us in Altoona Live tonight, it's Dave Shannon. And from the Philadelphia area is our good fantasy guy, Jimmy Ty. Hey, guys, welcome aboard and welcome to Monday Night Sports Talk. Dave and Jim.
Hey, thanks.
Hey, man, we'll kick things off. I don't know about you, Jimmy, and you're probably hearing it from work today. If you had to go into work, there's probably people reveling in the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles knocked off the Pittsburgh Steelers yesterday. And I know for a fact I was online late last night, trying to give the Eagles fan a little bit of a credit for their, rookie quarterback. And, of course, the play of the Steelers, of course, getting beaten in that game, brutally, I might add. But nonetheless, we have 6 rings. And how many do they have, Jimmy? Last check.
Donuts.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I thought.
Bagels.
Yeah.
Bagels.
Ain't nothing
bagels.
shaking but the bacon. They got the cheesesteak and they got Rocky Balboa, so I'll just leave it there. But let's get your impressions, guys. Dave.
But
I'll get with you, Jimmy. I'll get with you.
we have RoboCop.
Oh, there you go. You got RoboCop. Well, we're the city of champions. Need I say more? Dave, I want to get you and Jimmy your opinions on that game. Man, where did it go wrong from the opening kickoff, Dave, or what?
It was, I thought the offense came out and did a really nice job, marched right down the field, and then proceeded to have a field goal attempt blocked.
Yeah.
I think that was kind of, a forebearer of what was going to come during the game.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, the one thing, if I can pick on anything about the offense, is I don't fully understand the obsession with getting Antonio Brown so many receptions.
Mm-hmm.
That was obviously a game plan to throw to him often. And in too many situations, he's just not in a position, especially when you need a big play. Most of the completions to him were in the 5 to 15-yard category, which
right.
is not what Antonio Brown brings to the team. But they kept doing it because there was this obsession to get his reception numbers up. I just didn't understand that. And then, of course, the guys that were open, because there was attention to Antonio Brown, were unable to catch the ball. Sammy Coates made a hell of a reception in that game.
Yeah.
But bottom line to me, talking about the offense there, but the bottom line to me was the defense.
Yeah.
I mean, where was the defense? What was going on? I know Carson Wentz did a heck of a nice job in the game, but what the heck was up with the defense?
Well, Jim,
that as a Steelers fan, to me, that was the biggest frustration.
All right, Monday Night Sports Talk. Greg Banks in the studio. Dave Shannon, Altoona. We've got Jimmy Ty in Philadelphia. Jimmy, in that Steelers-Eagles game, Dave mentioned something at the beginning kickoff. Of course, they had that nice drive going. But was the misnomer when the ball went through the hands of Wheatley? Did you feel like, oh, man, here we go?
Wheaton.
Oh, my God.
Wheaton.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
God, yeah.
Wheaton
should have had that. That went right through the bread basket.
Did anybody explain?
Whenever you catch it?
Yeah.
Right through the bread basket. And then they're like, okay, we'll set it for that field goal. It's a block. And then from there, it just went downhill. But you got to give kudos to Carson Wentz in Philadelphia because they do that what is the West Coast offense where they throw them like them short little like screen passes or whatever, like 5-6 yards.
Right. Yeah.
And the way Carson Wentz plays, he doesn't hold on to the ball. He chucks it right away within like a second or two. So
yeah. Does he
got to give kudos to him in that defense? Like Dave said, where was our defense at?
Yeah.
We're supposed to be known as the Steel Curtain, the best defense in the league. While Philadelphia just showed us that we're more like the Cleveland Browns defense.
Well, Wentz,
Swiss cheese.
Yes, and Wentz reminds me, he is reminiscent of Big Ben, as Big Ben was. I mean, do you guys see similarities there? Because this guy's got the size, he's got the poise, and, man, he's got the arm whip too, Dave.
Absolutely.
He gets it out fast.
He gets it out in a hurry, like Jimmy said. The other thing that was talked about when they were discussing Carson Wentz was his smarts. The kid walks in, and we'll call him a kid because he's not that old yet.
22, I think, or something.
24, I think.
Okay.
But at any rate, maybe less. But the bottom line is, He was there at Eagles camp. He got cut. They did the trade with Sam Bradford, and it ends up that they call him, and he's out hunting somewhere.
Yeah. That's
and
incredible.
So he answers his phone, and he says, I think I got something a little more pressing to go do, guys. And he takes off. But they said he has a photographic memory, is the way they referred to it.
Yes.
And boy, does that bring a lot to it, because now you are not, it's not a mental process because you know what the playbook is. It's just a matter of executing. And as you say, he has the physical skills to do a heck of a job, and he certainly showed that yesterday.
Yeah, Jimmy, in that game, as you were watching it, as many of us were, disheartened from the beginning, it almost seemed like the Philly defense had Antonio Brown's number. First of all, they were sticking with this guy like a fitted glove, and then there were just like maybe some glimpses coming from Sammy Coates and some other receivers yesterday. What went wrong on that offense? Was the line broken down, or what happened?
No, that's well. First off, the Castro had a couple penalties that hurt us, as we all know. But Pittsburgh's known as a running football team.
Mm-hmm.
Give the ball to D'Angelo or whoever, and D'Angelo was killing it the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So you keep giving it to D'Angelo. That opens up the passing game because now the defense is coming in, and then that's when you can throw the ball.
Wow.
And that's when Antonio gets his yardage, or Sammy, or Hayward Bay, or whoever gets their yardage, because now the defense is closing in on the running game. But Philly closed our running game.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you had the cornerbacks and safeties all over our receivers.
Mm-hmm.
And Sammy Coates had some spectacular plays. Marcus Wheaton, after that drop pass in the end zone, that affected Marcus for the rest of the game.
Well, you bet.
Well, here's one of
the rest of the game, because he couldn't catch anything the rest of the game. So I think that was the big key. Right there was our running game was stopped, and then Ben had to force them throws, and he knows that Antonio is his go-to guy.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think the straw that broke the camel's back for me was in the third period. I think it was like about 12 minutes, 54 seconds left on the clock. I made a note that went past to Darren Sproles for that 73-yard reception, man. That was indeed something that broke our back. And obviously, the longer we play, the more games we play, and I say the Steelers play, the more film they have on us, Dave. And obviously, they did their film study in Philadelphia last week.
Oh, and I'll tell you what, if I'm any other team in the NFL that has the Steelers on the schedule, I am trying to get a hold of the Eagles tape as quickly as I can. Just to exploit certain aspects of the Pittsburgh Steelers. One thing that kind of puzzled me a bit was the fact that when James Harrison was in the game, there was a lot more pressure on Wentz.
Yeah.
And for some reason, he did not play every down. After seeing what he was able to do and get in, and even if he didn't touch Wentz, he was that close to him that he had to think about where James Harrison was.
Yeah.
So why not take advantage? I don't know what James was doing, but he was able to get in there. And I think they should have exploited that more and let James Harrison fly free, so to speak, and get as much out of that as they could. So
he could have been flying like an eagle.
The defensive side of things, I thought the safeties and the backs did a half decent job there. Every once in a while they get faked out or whatever.
Well, they had pass interferences too. Gay had a couple of calls against him. Turnovers were killers late in the game yesterday. Plus, the Eagles had 4 sacks. Did anybody recognize that actually Ben went down a couple times yesterday?
Yeah.
Yes.
That didn't help.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, another guy that picked up a number of penalties for the Steelers was Villanueva on the offensive line.
Right. Yeah.
That was pretty tough, and he got them in some pretty key situations, during drives where they had some big gains, but they had to call them back because of holding. The team got called a lot for holding, which I don't understand because they're pretty big guys.
Yeah.
And normally you just use your strength and move those people out of your way.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't going on yesterday. They were having trouble not to downplay the Eagles. They have some pretty big boys on the D line there.
And their O-line does a fabulous job protecting Carson Wentz, too. Jimmy, as we move forward here on Monday Night Sports Talk, and we talk about this Steeler-Eagle game yesterday, a big loss for the Steelers, but one game does not make a season. People don't realize, obviously, there have been years where the Steelers, quite frankly, lost 6-7 games, and they still won the Super Bowl. And I remind people, and you might have made note of this, Jimmy, we haven't beat Philadelphia in Philly since 1965.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. There's something about Philadelphia, and I'm not sure exactly what it is. So your impressions finally on the game, and let's talk about how the Steelers can move forward from that game, because it was awful.
All I'm going to say is, yes, we can beat Philadelphia in Philadelphia. The Pens do it every year.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen for a long time, Jimmy.
Yeah, that didn't happen for a long time. But to get back to the question, it's hard to play in Philly because you have it's motivation. Who's going to be the best team in the state of Pennsylvania? Is it Philly or is it Pittsburgh? And emotions are running high, and you have coworkers like where I work. Some are Steeler fans. 95% of them are Eagle fans. And it's just one of them games, and it's just one of them rivalries. Even though we don't play Philly every year like we do with Baltimore or Cincy or Cleveland,
right?
It's still one of them games that that whenever Pittsburgh's on their schedule or vice versa, it's a one that you mark because it's a big in-state rivalry.
Yeah, and what's interesting, Dave, as he says that geographically, the further east you move here in Huntington County, once you get over the county line towards Lewistown,
Lewistown's pretty much the demarcation
It is.
line,
It seems to be that's where you start running into these Philadelphia Eagles fans. So I won't be going to a Walmart this week in Lewistown. And if I do, they're going to have to call 911.
Same thing with Pirates and Phillies.
Yeah.
You get that line of demarcation there at Lewistown.
And it happens.
And then one thing I'm going to say about the game is our defense struggled, but you also have to look at Shazier got injured.
Yeah, he did. That was another thing. Yeah.
Timmons got rushed to the hospital for a shin's injury.
Hey, Shazier, now, they had blood. He had blood on his chin. I heard them say something about his shin, and not to be confused with his chin, but he looked like he was bleeding near his jaw area. Did anybody ever hear a report on his injury? Dave?
No, just what they said during the broadcast.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing, because Timmons is an emotional leader. Shazier is the speed linebacker, the captain of the defense.
Right.
He's out, and he's playing. He comes back, and he's playing. Shazier's playing injured.
Right.
So he's not playing his full 100%. He might be playing maybe like 60, 65%. So he's not playing his full, So, yeah, I think that them two players, they're hurt. But like what Dave is saying, why wouldn't you put Harrison in?
Yeah.
Because every time Harrison got in there, like Dave was saying, Wentz was feeling the pressure.
Yes, he
was feeling the pressure.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't Tomlin do that?
Hey, it's Monday Night Sports Talk. Greg Banks in the studio, Dave Shannon in Altoona, and Jimmy Ty in the Philadelphia area. Dave, real quick as we wrap up that game and we move forward, the Steelers have a running back coming back this week. I don't know if he's going to get a chance to play, but he gets off his suspension. Is that going to make a big difference as we get ready to move forward here in this season?
Well, of course, I think any running back or quarterback will tell you their success is predicated on how well the offensive line does.
Right.
So that's where your big question is there. It does. I like what Williams is able to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think for his age, he's a heck of a good running back.
Right.
However, yesterday during the broadcast, this issue was discussed with Mike Tomlin, and there's no doubt that Le'Veon Bell is the number one running back, and that's the way that will play out. He will be the guy that'll get the start. Will he be a difference maker? Well, certainly he can be. He's maybe a little quicker than D'Angelo Williams, so maybe if he can get past that offensive line and up toward the secondary, maybe he's able to do a lot. So, I think he can make a difference, and we'll see for sure. Running backs, I don't think there's a lot of rust issue per se when you miss games. So, whatever he's been able to or allowed to do as far as staying in shape leading up to this. I'm sure he's been doing, and I think he will make a difference in the team.
Hey, Jimmy, next up for the Steelers will be the Chiefs coming up Sunday night at 8:30. That's a Sunday night football game. What do you know about the Chiefs, and what do you predict in the upcoming game on Sunday?
The Chiefs have a good backfield with Jamal Charles and Spencer Ware. Spencer Ware is like their key player right now in their running game since Charles has been hurt. Charles will get in a few games, and if you're a fantasy lover, I would not put him in right now. Wait until after this week with Jamal Charles. But their passing game's all right. They have a good tight end, and I believe his name is Kelsey.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kelsey. He's a pretty darn good tight end. Jeremy Maclin. He's a decent receiver. You have Ontario Poe as the nose tackle for Kansas City, which they have a stellar defense. So it's going to be with Bell coming in. I would not run up the middle on Ontario Poe or any of them linemen up there.
Yeah.
So the weak part of the Chiefs is their secondary. So if Brown wants to get his numbers,
Sunday's the day to get
way.
it. Yeah, exactly.
By the way, receiver Kelsey, the brother of the center of the Eagles' offensive line.
Yeah, that's true.
Really?
So that's all I know about him. And Andy Reid, the former Philly coach, you know, nice guy. You know, interviewed him a few times down at Eagles camp. He's a hell of a guy. So who knows what's going to happen? You know, from my prediction of the score,
right?
Steelers 24. Kansas City 17.
24-17, Dave. What do you predict maybe on that upcoming game with the Chiefs on Sunday with the Steelers?
I'll just shave a few points off of Jimmy's score and hope that the defense is actually doing their job this week and the Steelers win 21-14.
And by the way, that game is in Pittsburgh, so you got to give them some for that. I mean, they'll be at home, and that'll be kind of refreshing after yesterday's game. Monday Night Sports Talk. We're here Monday nights, by the way. If you'd like to Skype in, check us out at Greg Banks 3. That's Greg Banks 3. Just make a request. We'll bring you in. We can talk about anything you want to talk about. Meanwhile, I've got Dave Shannon and Jimmy Ty with us. Chad States is out tonight. Hopefully get him back next week. Hey, Dave, let me ask you this. The rest of the football games yesterday, I didn't watch very many of the matchups, but Terrell Pryor played yesterday for the Browns. He played 4 different positions, kind of taking us back to the old days of Paul Hornung and some of those guys that played 60 years ago. He had an incredible day at quarterback. I believe he played safety, wide receiver, and Jimmy, I think he even kicked a field goal, didn't he? I don't know.
Who knows?
But he had one of those days that, are the Browns that bad, or is Terrell just that good? There's 53 guys on the team, for God's sake. I guess the question I'm asking is... They also have
Andrew Hawkins from Bishop McCourt on that team. Remember that.
Yeah, but when I think of, when you use a guy in 4 different positions, you're in pretty bad shape, wouldn't you think, Dave?
I would venture a guess that you're groping for straws.
You got
at that point,
something.
Because as you say, you have to go back to Hornung to get that kind of a player out on the field.
Yeah, what was Frank's name? Played for the Giants. He was married to
Gifford?
Frank Gifford. I remember. It throws back memories to the days when those guys played. That was normal to play both sides of the field back then.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
No, I mean that's the way you grow up, That's the way in high school you're playing both sides of the football a lot.
Yeah, it's interesting. He went in the league as a quarterback, if you remember, even playing out in Oakland for a while as quarterback. And then they said, you know what, unlike Tim Tebow, we could make Terrell in high school, Jimmy. He played all those different positions in high school in addition to quarterback. Yeah.
He was a stud at Jeanette High School.
Yes, he was.
For the Jayhawks. He was a stud in basketball and football. He could do it all.
Yeah, he was an athlete, man. He took them to the state championship I don't know how many times. But having said that, as we go around the league here real quick, man, there are a bunch of rookie quarterbacks that did well yesterday. Wentz did well. Dak Prescott did well. Who's the quarterback for the Broncos, Jimmy? He had a great day, too. The kid out of Northwestern. Simeon.
Trevor Simeon.
Unreal day for the rookies, man. What do you say?
I was impressed by all concerned. Tony Romo should be concerned about his job.
That's what I'm saying.
I think Prescott's definitely shown that he's NFL caliber, and Tony Romo has shown nothing more than he's quote unquote. I hate this term because it gets thrown around a lot, but he is showing that he's injury prone.
Gabe, he's 36 years old now. Wait a second. Let me stop you just for a second. Last night I got into that debate with the Dallas Cowboy fans when I asked the question, what happens to Dak Prescott when Romo comes back? Do you keep with the guy that has the momentum, and they all said it's Tony's team.
Yeah.
So when he comes back,
that's what Jerry Jones is saying. It's Romo's team, but you have to look at the landscape. If Prescott I can see if Prescott is not winning.
Right, Jimmy.
Yeah, give it back to Romo. It's Romo's team. But like I said last week, Romo lost the locker room with all these injuries.
Oh, yeah, you see people cheering.
He lost the locker room, so give it to Prescott. Let the young rookie do what he's doing. They're off to a darn good start.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Romo, he can throw the ball, and I dislocated my shoulder because I threw the football.
And you know what? And we shouldn't get too excited about these rookie quarterbacks just yet, because if you remember, RG3, his first season, I believe won 9 games in a row. And I believe he was also up for MVP that year or whatever the case might be. And we saw what happened to his career since. But having said that, I think the jury is out, Dave, that you still have to give these guys some time in the league to really establish themselves. Like 1 or 2 games is not going to do it, right?
Well, and I think, too, everything in the NFL is a body of work.
Right.
And every team keeps track of the other teams and how they're doing during the season, and they evolve. Okay, so it's a work in progress for all these teams, probably up until week 6 at the minimum, and maybe even as high as week 8 for some.
Oh, yeah.
Depending on injuries and what have you. But as you're building that body of evidence to look at when you're preparing for a team, it changes what you can do. And I think in all cases, if you can put pressure on a young quarterback in some way, shape, or form, each one of them will react differently.
Oh, yeah.
Carson Wentz may be just fine with a lot of pressure, but no one's going to know until they're able to actually do that.
Right.
And that's where this comes with all of the young quarterbacks. It's how much pressure can you put on them, and what is their reaction when you are able to get that pressure on them? So that's where these guys, their future's still in front of them, and we'll see how teams react to that. That's going to be the big factor for these young guys.
It is indeed. Monday Night Sports Talk. Go ahead, Jimmy.
The other thing is, Greg, is Wentz's 3 games that he had.
Right.
Blowouts. Am I right, Dave?
Yeah,
all blowouts.
Yeah.
Let's see how good Carson Wentz is when his team is down by 3 with a minute to go and he has to drive the field.
That's true.
Let's see how much poise he has as a quarterback.
Okay.
Let's see his play call, how Carson Wentz is as a quarterback. We don't know.
Yeah.
All we know is Carson Wentz, he can throw the ball, quick little outs, blowout games. Let's see when the Philadelphia Eagles get into them close games against the Cowboys or against the Giants or whoever it is, let's see how good of a quarterback he is. Because if you look at the elite quarterbacks in the NFL, Roethlisberger did it.
Yeah.
Of course, Brady did it. Phillip Rivers, Andrew Luck, they are your big names. Aaron Rodgers, they're your big names, and they are your elite quarterbacks. If Carson Wentz wants to be an elite quarterback and have a known, like a Dan Marino, whenever Marino was a rookie, as a good quarterback, how is he going to do in a final drive 2 minutes to go?
Right. Monday Night Sports Talk here. Monday Night Sports Talk on the airnetwork.net. We're here every Monday night from 7 to 8 p.m. live and, of course, rebroadcast throughout the entire week. Plus, check it out on our front page of the airnetwork.net. In my notes here, I had here, Eagles recover a Big Ben fumble. It is now 34-3 Eagles. Ben is forcing the ball at the end of the third. Too many penalties, turnovers. The Eagles have 4 sacks, and Hayward Bay intercepts one in the end zone to end the game. The TV is off. Final score, 34-3. That was the Steelers, of course, losing to the Eagles. That's history, guys. We move on to the Chiefs. Jimmy, real quick, as we finish up this segment, fantasy football, give us some sleepers. Who's hot and who's not this week?
Who's hot and who's not?
Right, give me
Marcus
some names.
Wheaton's not hot.
Not hot? Okay.
Not hot. No. I would put in Le'Veon Bell at the Steelers. He's coming off. He's fresh. He has fresh legs. He's been working out. So Le'Veon Bell. I still like Melvin Gordon.
Okay.
The Chargers running back.
Yep.
Phillip Rivers of the Chargers. I still like him. Randall Cobb. He's not hot. He's not doing too well up there in Green Bay. So
okay.
I would not put Randall Cobb in. Vikings defense. You got to look at when you play fantasy football. It's just not all about players. It's about defenses, and you got to put the Vikings defense in there.
They're hot right now, man.
They're hot. Look what they did the last 2 weeks yesterday against Cam Newton. Vikings defense, the number one defense in the league. The second defense I would try to put in.
Yeah.
The Broncos defense.
Hey, let me ask you this.
The Broncos, Trevor, and one last thing. If you look at the Broncos,
okay,
their quarterback Trevor Siemian, put him in. If you want to drop a quarterback, I would drop Ryan Fitzpatrick of the Jets. 6 interceptions yesterday. He's not going to cut it for your fantasy team.
Let me ask you and Dave both real quick as we wrap up this segment, man. Dave, how many quarterbacks do the New England Patriots have, and can they basically seems like they're bringing people out of the stands playing these days and still winning without Brady, man. I mean, it's incredible. They were talking about bringing Edelman out last week at one given time.
Well, and what this does say,
it's
as much as we don't like Bill Belichick,
yeah,
and the cheating and all of the stuff that has gone on with the Patriots,
yeah,
obviously the brain trust that's there on the coaching staff knows how to design an offense. So apparently even you or I could go to New England and quarterback the football team. And that says a lot. When you can put that kind of a system in place,
no doubt,
and you don't have the experience of Brady, but somebody else can step in and still be successful for that says a lot.
Oh,
that says a heck of a lot.
What do you think, Jimmy? You impressed with what is happening with the New England Patriots these days and these quarterbacks are using?
Unreal. That's all I'm going to say is it's unreal. And all this is without Tom Brady.
How about that, man?
All without Tom Brady. They should change the Super Bowl trophy. like Michael Irvin said, the Lombardi trophies.
Yeah.
Should be called the Belichick trophies now because of what Belichick is doing. Look at how many we're diehard Steeler fans, but look how many championships Belichick has won in New England alone. Spygate, Deflategate, ball, whatever gate it is.
Yeah, I don't care how
he's still winning, and he's even showed now with Jacoby Brissett, third string quarterback rookie, that Jimmy Garoppolo, whatever his name is, him winning. Edelman's going to come in probably next week.
Yeah,
I think we should sign Dave Shannon up as quarterback for Great Banks.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. Dave, you can go first. Because I don't like
That's
pain.
Okay.
I don't like pain. I don't like getting hit.
If they pay me the right amount, I'll take a beating so I can have some retirement.
Well, there you go. I'll put it this way: after you get beat, you will retire.
With all these quarterback miscues and all that, who's going to be quarterback?
Yeah.
But you even have to look at Rob Gronkowski had 0 receptions last week.
I know.
Number one big tight end, 0 receptions, 0 points in fantasy football.
Right.
So if you want a fantasy football player on the Patriots right now, go after LeGarrette Blount.
Yes.
He gets points. He gets your touchdowns. He gives you yards. Go after LeGarrette Blount.
The former Pittsburgh Steeler. By the way, real quick as we get ready to wrap this up, I don't care what they say about Belichick. He has such a coaching tree. Think of all the coaches that he has spurred, man. Although those guys aren't successful once they leave him and they come back as assistants. But you got to give it to him. The guy's probably going into the Hall of Fame, whether we like it or we don't, because it's not about the player. It's apparently about the system. Speaking of which, Dave, we're going to talk about baseball systems and the Pirates and what's happening in Major League Baseball these days, even the sad part of it. It's all coming up next here on the Monday night edition of Monday Night Sports Talk. Stick around.
Huntington Moose Family Center 223 is the heart of the community. Becoming a member of the Huntington Moose enables you to join family and friends who have served the community for over 100 years. Coming up Saturday, October 1st, the Moose presents entertainment with rock candy from 8 to 11 p.m. Then on Saturday, October 15th, it's DD and the Pub Crawlers. The Huntington Moose Family Center 223, serving the community with the best value in town.
DC Goodman & Sons and the Goodman family are committed and dedicated to excellence by supporting quality education and athletics for all youth of Huntingdon County. For over 3 generations, DC Goodman & Sons and their staff of quality tradesmen have provided excellent service in the installation of plumbing, mechanical and industrial piping, electrical, and fire sprinkler systems. Residential services are also available. DC Goodman & Sons and the Goodman family will continue to serve the community, and thank you for your support. The Goodman family wishes you the best to all area students in your pursuit of excellence.
Mel's Concrete in Huntingdon has over 20 years experience in providing you with quality concrete work. When you have any job dealing with concrete, call Mel Woomer at 643-0909. Mel's Concrete specializing in porches, patios, basements, sidewalks, and more. Mel's Concrete also specializes in snow removal. There's no job too big or too small when it comes to concrete. Call Mel's Concrete at 643-0909.
Brenneman's Meat Markets are celebrating nearly 70 years in providing Huntingdon County with quality USDA-approved processed pork, chicken, and beef products. Brenneman's has 2 locations in the county where the tradition of the finest meats are found in the region. Stop by Brenneman's Huntingdon weekdays from 8 to 6, Saturdays 8 to 3. Mount Union, open 9 to 5 weekdays and 9 to 2 on Saturdays. Choose specials of $10 to $50 meat packs containing your favorite meats. Or stop by and ask about our select custom cuts, prepared and packaged while you wait. Brenneman's Meat Markets in Huntingdon and Mount Union. Call our office at 814-643-2751 for specials and more information.
Pennsylvania Highlands Community College provides you the option to earn an associate degree, diploma, or certificate at an affordable cost. The Penn Highlands Huntingdon Center, located on Margie Drive in Huntingdon, offers degree programs in business management, criminal justice, liberal arts and sciences, and psychology. Are you ready to take the next step on your career path? Contact Penn Highlands Huntingdon at 814-643-6200 or visit Penn Highlands Community College online at pennhighlands.edu.
Welcome back to Monday Night Sports Talk. It is Greg Banks in the studio, Dave Shannon live this evening in Altoona, PA, and Jimmy Ty is hanging out around Philadelphia. Hey, Jimmy, I was wondering, that county that you live in, is that Lehigh County, Bucks County? Where are you, man?
I'm in lovable Berks County.
Berks County, okay.
Berks County,
all righty. The home of, I think, Peppermint Patties or something. I just made that up. I have no idea. I'm hungry, Dave.
The home of the Hamburg Hawks.
Hamburg Hawks, there you go.
And we have the King Frost Parade.
Okay.
And we have a festival that all they do is serve hamburgers.
Makes me want to go, Dave. I want a hamburger.
It's on Labor Day weekend.
Okay.
And we had close to 40,000 people in Little Hamburg buying hamburgers.
Hey, well, listen, it's Monday Night Sports Talk. Of course, you can join us. Just Skype in Greg Banks 3, or you can hit us up on email, and I don't want to get into that. But, Dave, over 100 million people will be watching the presidential debate tonight. Now, we're not going to get political, but meanwhile, the Pirates are taking on the Cubs. Man, what are our chances? Can we take a series from these Cubbies?
No, I don't think so.
Come on, please.
It's just they're the cream of the crop. And actually, it's to the point now where there's going to be a lot of disappointment if the Cubs aren't in the series.
How about that?
And don't win the series. I think there's been a lot of expectations. That may be the only thing that unravels them.
Yeah.
Is if they ever start to get to a point here in the postseason where they doubt themselves, that may cause them to unravel. But I think Joe Madden is the type of manager that's going to be able to keep a level head with the young guys there and keep their heads above water if they do run into some adversity, which they will. That's just the way
nature of the beast,
baseball works. Yeah. So, no, I don't think the Pirates have a chance here. If they get one out of these next 4 in Pittsburgh, they'll be lucky. Right now, they're in the top of the second inning. The Cubs are up 1-0. One of the bright spots for the Bucks is the guy that's on the hill right now for them, I think, and that's Chad Kuhl. Out of all the young pitchers that I've seen come up out of the minors, I like Kuhl the best. I saw Glasnow for the first time in a start over the weekend and really was not impressed at all. And heard the guys talking about previous times when he's been up, he's been able to throw his fastball when he gets a start or whatever at like 96, 97. And I didn't see him top the gun at any much more than about 93 during the course of his start. So Glasnow, nah. The other guy.
Cook. Let me ask you this, Dave, real quick. Both of those guys, I believe Glasnow, wasn't he down in Altoona earlier this year? I'm trying to think if he was there. Now, you just gave another name, and I'm assuming these guys are coming out of Indiana or Indianapolis. They're AAA farm club. They're not coming right from Altoona any longer as
no, they've been utilizing more of the time in Indianapolis. For example, Josh Bell has spent a good deal of time in Indianapolis now trying to hone his skills there. And the one thing, by the way, throw in a little weakness about him that I've noticed in watching them over the weekend, and that is he tends to have a problem with left-handed pitchers, and he gets turned around and he's batting from the right side. Yeah. He's not very good as a switch hitter. Okay. He does not do well batting from the right side of the plate. Right. But that being said, everybody has their weaknesses, so maybe you move along and you go ahead and use a platoon system of some sort when the lefties are out on the hill, and maybe keep David Freese, talk him into another year, and have him there at first base.
If you're Clint Hurdle over the next couple of weeks, what is it that you try to salvage out of this team this year? I mean, do you use some of the younger guys just to get them some playing time? Realizing, I know you're 4.5 games back. There's that wild card possibility, I imagine, but is it truly a possibility? When do you finally say, let's just give these young guys some time here?
They already did that.
All right.
They already did that.
They're doing it.
You've got people like Marte's not playing. Yeah. They did bring him back there in Milwaukee against the Brewers, and he had one at-bat, and in the second at-bat, he tweaked his back. Yeah. And he was out again, and he's going to be done for the season. Gregory Polanco has been out of the lineup now for an extended period of time. And I think that both of those guys, depending on where they would have been here as far as postseason contention, there would have been a mammoth effort put forth to try to get both of those guys in, because they're both such a key part of this team and its success. Yeah. So I think they have already given up, and they're going to try to get as many looks. I know bullpen-wise, they've been calling in a lot of guys out of the bullpen. As a matter of fact, with these younger guys starting, there's been a propensity to take them out by the 5th inning and then get a better look at some of these guys out of the bullpen. So I think that's where they are right now. They're trying to get a look, trying to give these guys some at-bats and what have you. Adam Frazier is one of these guys that they're putting a lot of effort in. Yeah. And he's been getting a lot of starts. I do like Adam's approach at the plate, but I'll tell you what, he has shown some dramatic weaknesses in the field over the course of this weekend series against the Nats. Okay. He played second base, did not do well there. I think they had him for one game in the outfield, and he did not do well there. So, I mean, it's not all about the offense.
Right.
Not unlike football.
Monday Night Sports Talk. Greg Banks in the studio. Jimmy Ty in Philadelphia area, and we've got Dave Shannon in Altoona. Jimmy, let me stick with you real quick on this baseball thing. I'll ask this question because I had the discussion last week. We may have broached this. Once McCutcheon's contract is up, does he stay with the Pirates? And I'll move to Dave because I know he's very passionate about that. But what are your thoughts? I'm hearing there's no way they can keep him in camp. It seems like his performance is starting to fail, so they probably would unload him at some given time. What are your thoughts?
Like every great player, like you had like back in the 80s or 90s, Wade Boggs went from the Red Sox to the Rays or Devil Rays at the time.
Right.
And Wade Boggs was loved in Boston.
Okay.
Right. Same thing with Andrew McCutchen. Andrew McCutchen was drafted by the Pirates, came through their farm system, became the MVP, brought him to the playoffs, this and that with the Pirates. Now his production is starting to go down. I would say maybe give him another year. Yeah. To see maybe it was just like a bad year for him, like a slumpy year. Yeah. If he doesn't do good next year, trade him away. But if you look at like what as Dave was saying about the pitching staff, Who would have thought in October or right
September
now
and October
that your starting lineup for pitchers, Glasgow, Chad Cole, Nova, Talion, and Vogelsong. They are your top. They're your 5 starting pitchers. Who would have thought that a couple months ago?
And Vogelsong was
nobody.
Yeah, but Vogelsong's the only out of that group that was there at the beginning, right? I mean, they even considered to start at the beginning of the season. Everybody else is relatively.
No, actually, they started him out of the pen, and then because of various and assorted sundry problems, including the fact that Jeff Locke's an airhead, he ended up becoming a starter.
Okay, you're going to end up getting him fired too, Dave. But go ahead, Jimmy.
No great loss.
To answer your question, I think that, and I believe that Pittsburgh's going to give McCutchen another year.
Okay.
To see what happens, because they do have Martin Polanco and McCutchen. That is
and they got
an
Bell.
outstanding outfield.
Yeah.
But just give them another year and see what happens up, because you have all these guys in the minor leagues that are coming up.
So, Dave, you're basically, do you feel the same way? I'm not putting words in your mouth, but we know, what have you done lately? That happens in every league anymore. It's like, dude, I'm sorry, but the last 2 years have not been that great. So, when your contract comes up, you're going to be the next guy out. Is that what happens here?
Oh, I think so. I don't think the Pirates have shown, even with their revival here, any desire to hold on to people that are critical to their team.
Right.
And I'm sitting here right now watching Francisco Cervelli at the plate.
Oh, man.
But I'll tell you what, I miss Martin.
I miss
Martin behind the plate.
Yeah.
I just thought he was outstanding.
But don't you think Cervelli is like a leader too, though? I mean, he has
there's no doubt. There's no doubt. But that's luck.
Yeah.
They got lucky again.
Yeah. They did.
And,
it's all connected to
were
the Yankees.
getting lucky with these pitcher rehabilitation projects that they worked on. And so, every once in a while your luck runs out, but they still have that propensity to, it's like, nope, we're not going to deal with guys with big contracts.
Yeah, do you think Cervelli comes back again? I mean, does he still have another year on his, or is he one and done?
No,
Actually,
he's back. He's back. They signed him to a multi-year deal because last year was, his first year, and they did a multi-year deal with him here. It's not a long one, but it was a multi-year deal.
Yeah.
But I think they will go ahead, and I'll tell you what, look for, depending on where they are next year, as far as where they're playing, and when the trade deadline comes up, if McCutchen's having a really good year, look for them to leverage that. And they're maybe not necessarily in the playoffs or not in the hunt, or maybe they need an area that they can get a boost from if they can make the right trade.
Right.
Look for Andrew McCutchen to be trade bait next year if he's having a good year.
Okay, Monday Night Sports Talk. Greg Banks in the studio, Jimmy Ty in the Philadelphia area, Dave Shannon, by the way, in Altoona. Guys, real quick, let's talk about the race in the National League first and then the American League. How do you think this is going to end up, Dave? I mean, truly, the Cubs will be in a hunt in the National League. Who is their opponent in that championship series that gets started actually next week, I believe, with the wild cards?
I'm going to go with the Dodgers now.
Dodgers, really?
Okay. Yeah, I think the Dodgers will be their opponent, but I think the Cubs will prevail.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah. Jimmy, so your feeling is the same as far as the that kind of championship in the National League this year, Cubs and Dodgers?
Definitely Dodgers.
Okay, definitely Dodgers. Well, definitely Cubs. They'll be there.
Well, definitely Cubs. It's going to be the Cubbies and the Dodgers of the National League.
Now, what did Chad used to say that every other year the San Francisco Giants were in the hunt, and this I think was their year, wasn't it? That they were supposed to be there.
No, they were even years.
Okay, what happened to the Giants then? So did they fail here recently? I mean, did they just kind of lose the luster? Okay.
No, they fell apart here in September, a very unusual thing for that team. And that's where the whole problem happened, was the fact that, they basically have unraveled here in the month of September. I think they're under 500 for the month of September.
All right.
And so that's not what you do if you're going to make a charge and try to be in the postseason.
Well, conversely, let's take a look at the American League now real quick also. I mean, here we have Boston, man. They're in the hunt. I mean, they're making things happen. Big Papi, and, who else is going to be there? I mean, tell me, Dave, who do you think in the American League? Because Baltimore looks like they're still kind of close in the race. You've got the Red Sox. Even people were talking about the possibility that the Yankees might eke in. But obviously, there's got to be a front runner, and it's not going to be Kansas City Royals this year's guys. You know what I mean?
No, it's not going to be Kansas City this year. And right now, Detroit's a game and a half back of Baltimore, who has the second wild card position.
Right.
So they would be going to Toronto to take on the Blue Jays if the season ended today with the standings as they are. And teams at the top, by the way, Texas, the Rangers have wrapped up their division.
Yeah.
And so what you got is Cleveland still in the Central, but Cleveland's just a couple of games away from wrapping that one up as well. So it's going to be Boston, Cleveland, Texas as far as your division winners. And then the wild card, I think it may end up being Toronto and Baltimore at this point.
Yeah, so in the American League Championship Series, you're seeing Toronto will be there this year in that series?
You know what? I'm going to go with these two guys, these two teams that have sewn it up already.
Okay.
And that's Boston, Texas.
Texas.
I think you're going to see a Boston, Texas American League Championship Series, which would be a very good series.
I think so too, Jimmy. What do you think about that American League Series, Boston, Texas? I mean, your feeling, or what's your opinion?
Texas. This is my prediction. It's going to be Boston, Texas, in the American League Championship Series. Boston's going to win that series.
Okay, in the World Series, who do you call?
In the National League, it's going to be Dodgers versus the Cubbies.
Okay.
Cubbies are going to win that. And it's going to be the Theo Epstein Series.
Yes, it would be, wouldn't it, Dave?
Theo Epstein Series.
Wouldn't it be incredible, Dave, that the Boston Red Sox and Chicago, the two teams that have Theo Epstein's thumbprints all over it, end up in the World Series this year? Would that be incredible?
Yeah, and it says a lot about what a general manager and a cooperative ownership group can do for a team.
Man.
See, there's the other factor. You get a big pat in the back when you're the GM and you bring success into a franchise. But you know what? You also need to have the cooperation of the ownership group. Those are the guys that are backing you. They're paying the bills. Maybe you want to make a deal for a particular piece of a puzzle that you need to complete that puzzle. And if you don't have the ownership group behind you, you're not going to be able to complete that deal.
Unlike the Kevin McClatchys of the world.
or even the current ownership group with the Pirates.
That's true too.
I'm still not sold on them. Still not sold on them.
Hey, if a Red Sox Cubs series does develop, Jimmy, who do you call on to win? I want to get your prediction now on this 26th day of September. Who would win the World Series? Do you think the Cubs have an edge here?
Chicago Cubs will win the series.
Okay.
In 7 games.
7 games. Dave, do you have any kind idea? Of course, that's hedging it, Jimmy. That's 7 games. I mean, you're going all 7 here. I mean,
all 7, baby.
Okay. What do you think, Dave?
Final score will be Chicago 4.
Okay.
Boston 2.
You can book it, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
DraftKings, Put it in Vegas.
Out on a limb.
That's what I'm talking about. Monday Night Sports Talk here on the airnetwork.net. Dave Shannon's given us his preview of the World Series. If it's Boston and Chicago, what's your prediction, Dave?
I'm going to go with the Cubs as well. And depending on how the pitching is falling here in the postseason, I'd almost be inclined to go with the Cubs in 6.
Okay. All right.
Taking the series 4-2. So.
And that place will go crazy in Chicago. I'll be loving it because they seriously deserve it. After all these years, if anybody deserves it, certainly the Madden and the Cubs deserve it this year. We'll see how that thing happens. Meanwhile, listen, really disheartening news yesterday morning when we all awoke to the news of a Miami Marlin who has kind of put Miami on the map, really, after Giancarlo left. Young man by the name of Jose Fernandez. Dave, what was your thoughts when you heard that news of him dying in that shipwreck yesterday morning?
You just worry about to a degree, I hearken back to when Ben Roethlisberger was in the big motorcycle accident that he was in. And you can't tell somebody how to live their life away from the team every waking hour of the day.
Right.
However, sometimes when you see something like this happen, you wish maybe we should have put a rule in there.
Yeah.
It's still America. We're still individuals. We have freedom to do what we want to do.
Right.
But, it's just one of those things. I saw it. I understood the situation, how it happened. And it's just one of those, sometimes when you take risks, the bad thing does happen.
24 years old.
How many times did we launch the space shuttle successfully and then one day it blew up?
I know.
Right after it got off the pad.
Yeah, Challenger. Yeah, I'll never forget that. But
you mess with danger, and sometimes it's going to pop up and bite you.
Well, unfortunately, the Marlins are playing the Mets tonight with heavy hearts. And Jimmy, as we talk about this real quick, about this young man who I really only got to know in the last few months as I was watching this guy's ERA, just like it was incredible. I haven't heard of a pitcher of his magnitude since maybe Sandy Koufax. What do you know about Jose Fernandez? And, I mean, the great loss that he is.
He is Miami Marlins baseball. Him and Giancarlo Stanton are Miami Marlins baseball.
Yeah.
They put Miami Marlins on finally back on the map after the World Series, after they took rid of all that team with Bonilla and all that. He is Marlins baseball. He was injured last year. He had Tommy John surgery.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
He had Tommy John surgery. He was gone all year, so nobody knew who he was.
Yeah.
And then he comes out and he shines right now. And like they said, about you can't keep young kids down. They're going to do. He was 24 years old.
Yeah.
He's going to do what normal 24-year-olds kids do, who's multi-billionaires or multi-millionaires.
Yeah.
It's just a sad loss for a Marlins community, for the team. A team that was pretty good, by the way. They weren't a team that was like terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were in that wild card race for a long time.
Well,
it's just it's just sad to see like a 24-year-old and die in a boating accident. Just my heart just goes out to the Marlins communities, the players, the fans, everything. It's just sad.
What's wild is our Saturday night game wrapped up at about 10:30 when he left the ballpark, and Barry Bonds actually showed a little compassion towards this guy during that game when the guy came out in the 8th inning of that game. It was, I think, tied up, no score. Maybe it was 1-0. Marlins were leading. I'm trying to think who they were playing. The Braves, I think, at the time.
The Braves.
And Barry Bonds jumped into this guy's arms and gave him a big hug, and we see video of that today. And Dave, going back to the days of Barry Bonds, he never exuded that kind of compassion for anybody. So obviously, this kid was the kind of person that could move a clubhouse. You know what I mean?
Oh, no doubt.
He was the kind of kid that brought them all together.
And as Jimmy was pointing out, the community, I mean, you're talking about Cuban immigrants.
Oh, man.
And that's become a big part of the Miami area.
Yeah.
And they had this young guy who came over when he was 15 years old.
On a boat with his mother.
On a boat.
It took 4 tries.
Yeah.
It took 4 tries for him. The 3 were unsuccessful. On the 4th try, the boat made it the whole way to the United States. There he is in Miami. And so the whole Cuban community there in Miami, which is pretty large,
yes,
has lost someone that they could really look up to.
And they were certainly supporting the Marlins, and because of him. And he will be a great loss. And, again, I can only imagine if it were somebody from our home team, like the Pirates. And it did happen because remember the year we lost Roberto Clemente? Dave.
Oh, that came to mind last night when I was thinking about this.
Similar.
It was like, to a degree, Roberto, a much older player at the time.
And he was on a relief. Well, Roberto was also doing something good. He was on that relief mission to Nicaragua at the time,
right,
on that plane. So, unfortunately for Jose, of course, losing his life at the age of 24. But listen, you know what? I skipped a whole segment here. We need to go back and talk about Penn State and Pitt football real quick, World Cup hockey, and, of course, wrap things up in the next maybe 8 minutes or so. Stick around, guys, because we'll wrap it up with all that and more here on the airnetwork.net. Stick around.
Pennsylvania Highlands Community College provides you the option to earn an associate degree, diploma, or certificate at an affordable cost. The Penn Highlands Huntington Center, located on Margie Drive in Huntington, offers degree programs in business management, criminal justice, liberal arts and sciences, and psychology. Are you ready to take the next step on your career path? Contact Penn Highlands Huntington at 814-643-6200 or visit Penn Highlands Community College online at pennhighlands.edu.
Mel's Concrete in Huntington has over 20 years' experience in providing you with quality concrete work. When you have any job dealing with concrete, call Mel Woomer at 643-0909. Mel's Concrete specializing in porches, patios, basements, sidewalks, and more. Mel's Concrete also specializes in snow removal. There's no job too big or too small when it comes to concrete. Call Mel's Concrete at 643-0909.
D.C. Goodman & Sons and the Goodman family are committed and dedicated to excellence by supporting quality education and athletics for all youth of Huntington County. For over 3 generations, D.C. Goodman & Sons and their staff of quality tradesmen have provided excellent service in the installation of plumbing, mechanical and industrial piping, electrical, and fire sprinkler systems. Residential services are also available. D.C. Goodman & Sons and the Goodman family will continue to serve the community, and thank you for your support. The Goodman family wishes you the best to all area students in your pursuit of excellence.
The Huntington Moose Family Center 223 is the heart of the community. Becoming a member of the Huntington Moose enables you to join family and friends who have served the community for over 100 years. Coming up Saturday, October 1st, the Moose presents entertainment with rock candy from 8 to 11 p.m. Then on Saturday, October 15th, it's DD and the Pub Crawlers. The Huntington Moose Family Center 223, serving the community with the best value in town.
It's Monday Night Sports Talk. Greg Banks in the studio, Dave Shannon in Altoona, and we've got Jimmy Ty, by the way, out of the Philadelphia area. Guys, real quick, in a rapid fire finish tonight, Penn State, Pitt football. Jimmy, did you watch any of that Pitt football game this weekend?
Only the highlights on ESPN.
All right. Well,
I had the work.
It was kind of a sorry game again. Another outing for Pitt, by the way. And Penn State, Dave, any comments on that game? I mean, because I know at this point, people were actually calling for Franklin's head, kind of. They want Les Miles to take over the Nittany Lions already. I'm like, damn, Les just lost his job yesterday. Franklin has a contract and his recruits aren't in camp yet, man. Come on, give the guy a damn break.
Well, I think it's become typical. I mean, Penn State, because of Joe Paterno, the fan base has all of these expectations.
Yeah.
And what their expectation is immediate success. And the football program at a Division I school or whatever size school it is not fast food.
Yeah.
It's not a convenience store. You don't go in and hit the touch screen and get the food that quick. That's not the way any of this stuff
works. This ain't no sheet store, man. This ain't no sheets.
Yeah. So
wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Dave and I were watching the game. We were talking sometime during both of those games. We were switching back and forth, and David eludes me, and I probably have my notes here of who actually even played the games, but it didn't necessarily matter. Well, Michigan, I mean, come on. Jimmy, the only thing that happened there was somebody gave them a 20-point, spread, and I think they blew that too. So, in addition to that, Pitt was maybe a little bit closer,
37-36.
Yeah, so, that was kind of disheartening. But the reality is they still have a ways to go. So, all I can say about that is go Pitt and Penn State. Dave, let me ask you this. World Hockey underway. We got this 3 final games in this series, man. Europeans and the Canadians. What are you feeling about that now? And did you jinx the Americans last week?
My fascination was never with Team USA. It was with the North American team.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
was the second one that was created. Now, the Europe team, interestingly enough, is a team that was just drawn up, and what it was to allow anybody from Europe who was not Russian, Finn, or a Sweden, from Sweden.
Right, okay.
So that was what Team Europe was created for. And it ends up that Team Europe ends up moving on, beating what everyone thought the Swedes were going to be in. They thought that was a no contest deal.
Right.
And there we go. Now we got Team Europe, a makeup team that everybody kind of laughed at.
Well, there it is.
Ends up being the team that's going to take on Team Canada.
Yeah.
I think Canada wins it. It's a best of three. I think they win the first two. It's over.
Hey, there's a hockey game tonight over at Pagula at State College. The Sabres are playing somebody over there. The first NHL game ever at Pagula. And obviously, the reason why Mr. Pagula brought his Sabres down here and didn't bring the Penguins in is because he owns the Sabres, and he put up $100 million for that building at Penn State. But having said that, Dave, camp is underway, and the season is about to get started here. Are you hearing anything about the Penguins? I mean, we got guys healthy, or who's coming back, man?
Well, they returned everybody. They did get rid of is number 19.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter.
Anyway, they got rid of him, and he's with the New Jersey Devils now.
Okay,
and so they got rid of him. Of
He'll
course,
come back
the big
to bite
loss
us in the ass.
because of the World Cup of Hockey is they end up losing Matt Murray. His hand's broken. Current estimates are 3 to 6 weeks before he can play.
Right.
And probably you want to lean to the heavy side of that. So what that does is it clears the way for Marc-Andre Fleury. Yeah, there'll still be a competition for goalie in the camp, but Fleury is going to win that hands down.
Okay.
So it's kind of a bummer because it would have been nice to see that competition between Matt Murray and Marc-Andre Fleury. So right now, and of course the guys will be coming in as they finish up. Malkin will be in camp now because he was there with the Russian team at the World Cup. Yeah. And Mike Sullivan just got there himself, actually, on Friday.
Oh, okay.
So, because he was on the Team USA. By the way, the whole Team USA thing just shows how, well, not how. Let me say it this way. What kind of a coach John Tortorella actually is.
Yeah. He's a real jerk, isn't he?
To have that much talent and not win a game.
Yeah, and you know what? Even wasn't he the Rangers or Islanders coach at one time?
Rangers, and now with the Columbus Blue Jackets.
A real pain in the ass that guy was, man. That's why he's not in New York anymore. So, hey, listen, guys, Jimmy and Dave, thanks for joining us on Monday Night Sports Talk, guys. Let's do this again next week, huh?
Definitely.
All right.
Hey, by the way, wanted to say a special farewell to Arnold Palmer. Man, we lost him yesterday too, Dave. Never got around to it, but maybe we'll talk more about his career coming up next week. How's that sound?
Okay, and one tip of the cap, too, to Vin Scully, his last regular season home game broadcast at Dodger Stadium yesterday.
Salute! And also Dick Emberg, I understand, is still rocking and rolling on the West Coast doing his sports, too. Hey, Dave, I want to retire, man, someday. You know anybody like hiring for that job?
Hiring for retiring.
Yeah, man. Hey, Jimmy, have a good one, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. That wraps up another edition of Monday Night Sports Talk here on the airnetwork.net. We'll do it again next week. So long, everyone.